If we're complicit in this behavior, if we just say boys will be boys, then you know what? We're misogynists too.
It's Mother's Day on The Fosters, and you can bet it's a dramatic one. Let's break down Season 5, Episode 15 of The Fosters right here on What Happened. How's it going, everyone? Lisa here, and happy Mother's Day, at least in our Fosters timeline, that is. This week's episode is all about the women, and I just have to say that Terry Polo, she is great in every episode, but this episode, she seriously killed it. Like, that whole panic attack scene with her mom was so intense, so emotional, and just so good. I also gotta say, the way Noah delivered Jesus' essay at the dinner table, I'm pretty sure there wasn't a dry eye around. So this episode sees Stef's mother, Sharon, return to town, and if Stef wasn't on edge already, she's practically almost off the cliff now. So let's just not waste any time with this one and dive into the full recap. First up, Brandon and Grace. At the hospital, Grace finally tells Brandon that she made him her proxy. When he asks if it should be Susan, Grace explains that she doesn't think her mom will do what she wants if things go bad. Brandon then confides in Callie about what's going on, and he tells her his fear that he doesn't know if he could actually do what Grace wants, like pull the plug, if they were actually faced with that decision, to which Callie thinks he should actually tell Grace about his reservations. Well, before that can happen, Susan finds out about Grace naming Brandon her proxy, and she comes over to the house to give Brandon an earful, accusing him of convincing Grace to put him in charge and basically not letting Brandon be able to explain the situation. Eventually, Brandon does get in a word, telling Susan that the only person whose choice it is Grace. Susan then explains the last time things went bad, Grace wanted to give up. She was too young to make that decision, so Susan decided on more treatment, which got Grace 6 more years. So she thinks that what Grace wants may not be what's actually best for her. Susan then goes back to the hospital to confront Grace about the situation, which Brandon actually overhears from the hallway. Grace explains to Susan that the real reason that Susan can't be her proxy is because if Susan does what Grace wants, she'll never forgive herself, and Grace doesn't want her mom battling with that whole feeling of whether she gave up or should have made Grace fight, even though Grace made the ultimate decision. Judging from what we've seen from Susan, I do think Grace may have made the right call here. Susan loves Grace so much, but it's hard to tell if she loves her enough to carry out her wishes and do what her daughter wants, or if she loves her so much that she just wants her to be there and won't let her go. For Jesus, he gets a new para named Priya, who is very much the opposite of David. She's young, pretty, and qualified for the job. She's actually really good at her job and is managing to teach Jesus to focus in 30-second increments in order to build up his ability to focus for longer periods of time. When Priya goes to get his next assignment, one of Jesus' classmates passes him a note that says that Priya has nice boobs. Jesus just shoves the note in his math folder, but then engages with those guys' locker talk in the hallway, which Mariana overhears, calling him disgusting. Later at home, Jesus is working on his practice college essay for school, and he's chosen to write about his TBI because he's supposed to write about an experience or an event that has had the greatest impact on his life. Lena stops by to help him with his homework, and unfortunately for Jesus, she finds that crude note in his folder. When Lena asks what Jesus said back to those kids, Mariana just walks in and blurts out what Jesus actually said, to which Jesus defends himself, saying it was guy talk. But Lena is extremely disappointed and calls it inappropriate, and Jesus just asks her to get him another para that isn't hot or mean. After a conversation with Stef and Sharon in the kitchen, in which Stef points out the double standards people are raised with and how sons shouldn't be given a free pass just because of the boys will be boys mentality, it gets Lena thinking. She then goes back to talk to Jesus and tells him that she is also at fault for the situation, and she has been sexist because originally Priya was the most qualified to be Jesus' para, but she decided to hire David because she thought Priya would be a distraction. She explains that she was wrong to assume that Jesus couldn't rise above locker talk and be the man they raised him to be. Lena then tells Jesus that she believes he's a man who respects all women, and she's not going to fire Priya. If he can't give Priya the respect she deserves, then he can be the one to tell her himself why she can't work with him. Once again, the Fosters is right on the nose with being relevant to what's going on with the real world and the whole Me Too movement and all of that right now, so good on the Fosters. So does Lena's talk with Jesus stick? It seems like it does, because during the Mother's Day brunch, Jesus didn't get the mom's physical presence like the other kids, but he did finish his essay, which he changed the subject of, and he decided to write about the moms and how they saved him and Mariana, made them feel safe, gave him a family, and made them feel loved.
But I want my two strong, beautiful, brilliant moms to know that they don't have to hope I'll be the man that they've raised me to be, because that's the man I want to be, and I'll always do my best to never let them down.
And yep, Jesus pretty much wins the Best Gift Award for this Mother's Day, right? It just kind of reiterates that sometimes it's not how much money you spend on someone, but it's writing what you feel or giving something that really comes from the heart. Now let's hope that Jesus shows this by his actions the next time those guys try to talk about Priya like that. Since it is Mother's Day, Callie has been really thinking about her mom a lot more. Jimena ends up giving Callie a necklace to say thanks for all the help, and after Jimena leaves, Jude walks in and compliments the necklace, and Callie tells Jude that she didn't have the heart to tell Jimena that she only wears her mother's locket. Jude then asks Callie if they can go visit Mom's grave on Mother's Day, but Callie says that they're going to be too busy with the brunch and they can go some other day because they need to be here on Mother's Day for the moms who know what day it is. The next morning, or whatever day it is, we see Callie come downstairs and kiss Jude on the head, and then we see their mom cooking eggs, and we realize this is one of Callie's dreams. Callie's mom ends up asking Callie why she's wearing her necklace, and when Callie reaches to touch it, it's not there. And then we see Callie wake up feeling for the necklace, which is actually still there. As the Mother's Day brunch is coming to an end, Callie has had a change of heart and asks Jude if he wants to still go visit Mom. So the two go to the cemetery where Jude tells Callie she was right about Mom not knowing they're there, and how it'd be weird if they came every day because it'd be a constant reminder someone is gone, and he equates that to Callie wearing Mom's necklace every day. Then Donald, their dad, happens to show up with a bouquet of flowers, and he points out how Callie is still wearing the locket as well. Callie mentions her dream and she doesn't think it means anything, but Donald talks about how when he was in prison, he was in a therapy group and they examined their dreams, and he thinks that dreams are there to help us work through things and tell us stuff that we need to hear. When Callie asks Donald what he thinks her dream means, he says that maybe since Mom asked why she was wearing it and then it was gone, it means that Callie wants permission to take it off. Donald's girlfriend Natalie then walks up and introduces herself and invites the kids over for dinner sometime. When Callie returns home, she finally does take off her mom's locket and puts on the necklace that Jimena gave her. Stef and Lena have walked in, and Callie tells them about Donald and how they've all been sad long enough, and she can now remember her mom without wearing her grief around her neck. Now in the previously on, they showed a clip from season 1, I believe, of Stef telling Callie that the necklace was not her mom, but it seemed like Callie kind of held on to this necklace because it's the last thing of her mom's, and she maybe felt guilty for taking it off, like she was saying, "Bye Mom, I've replaced you," or something to that effect. But Callie has finally realized that she doesn't have to wear the locket to remember her mom. She has enough memories as it is, and it's kind of her mom's way of saying, "You're okay, you're growing up and moving on. Don't hold on to me, even though I'll always be here." Now for Stef and Tess and Sharon and all of that drama. The episode opens with Stef back in therapy, and essentially the therapist points out how similar Tess's situation is to what Stef's situation was when she came out. And Stef finally admits that she felt ashamed during that point in time. The therapist then points out that shame is the feeling of being something wrong, and the assault on the self, when that happens, can cause deep depression and severe anxiety. So seeing Tess go through such a similar situation has triggered Stef, bringing back up the feelings she had when she went through the same thing. Now, as the family prepares for Sharon, Stef's mom, to come visit, Stef asks Lena to not tell Sharon about what's going on because she doesn't want her mom to blow it out of proportion. When Sharon does arrive, she says that she forgot her luggage next door because she ran into Tess and went inside Tess's house for a drink. And then Sharon asks Stef why she never told her that Tess was a lesbian, which totally catches Stef off guard. Yeah, Tess chose to confide in Sharon. Sharon then reveals that the two of them made plans to go out to a gay bar the next night. Later, Sharon does invite Lena to come with them, but she declined. Sharon also tells Stef that she doesn't have to come along, but Stef is not going to let those two go out alone. As Lena talks about the situation with Priya and Jesus, it causes Stef to get in an argument with Sharon about being raised as a feminist or not and virtue, and Stef tells Sharon that growing up, Sharon made her feel like sex was shameful for girls, and there's such a double standard when it comes to boys, and if they say boys will be boys, then they're misogynists too, and stuff along that line. Meanwhile, Mariana is at Logan's, and he's upset over Dean moving out and how no one is really telling him what's going on. Mariana then invites Logan and Tess over for Mother's Day brunch, and Logan jokes about them being tired of seeing them since Tess is going out with Mariana's mom tonight as well, and then Mariana kind of puts two and two together and shoves food in her mouth in order to not say anything or blurt out something she shouldn't, because earlier in the afternoon she walked downstairs when Sharon and Stef were talking about going to the gay club or the gay bar, and she's kind of put it all together. Now at the bar, Sharon is trying to play wing woman for Tess while Stef is acting the way you kind of expect her to. She's just there to keep an eye on everyone even though she seems miserable. Stef is also a little mean towards Tess as she's like, "Oh, so it's official, you're a lesbian now," and Tess just says she's exploring it, but would it bother Stef if she was gay, or is it bothering her because she didn't tell Dean? And then Tess points out that she hasn't even kissed a woman yet, so she doesn't know her feelings yet. And then she asks Stef if she told Mike before she really knew, Touché, Tess. Sharon ends up buying a drink for a woman at the end of the bar and saying it was from Tess, so that woman, Laura, asks Tess to dance, and then Sharon even gets asked to dance, so at least 2 out of 3 are having a good time at this bar. Back at the house, though, Mariana asks Lena if Tess is gay because, she's put 2 and 2 together. Lena just tells her that they don't know for sure and that Tess is exploring her options. Mariana then says she hopes that Tess is an exploring mom, and Lena says she's not, and she tells Mariana to not say anything to Logan because it's not their place. The next morning at Mother's Day brunch, Logan tells Mariana that he thinks his dad is having an affair because he overheard Tess on the phone talking about a woman named Laura, who he thinks is the woman that Dean may be seeing. But it's actually the woman that Tess met at the bar. After presents have been passed out and the brunch is over, Mariana tells Lena that Logan thinks his dad is having an affair, so if no one tells him the truth, she will. Stef is now worked up again and goes upstairs to take her pills, and Sharon follows and tells Stef that Stef can't blame her for not knowing she was gay because Stef never talked to her, she never opened up to her. Instead, Stef ran to her dad and always talked to him, making Sharon feel like an outsider. Stef then brings up that when Sharon did know that she was gay, she disapproved, to which Sharon says that she actually didn't disapprove. Stef points out though how Sharon seems to approve of Tess and she's being so supportive of her, but she didn't show that same support for Stef, and Sharon says it was because she cared about Mike's feeling, and the two really start to get things off their chest, but it ultimately causes Stef to have another severe panic attack. And it's actually Sharon who is able to help calm Stef down with some exercises.
One thing you can taste. Fear. Fear.
Sharon ends up revealing that when she was around the age Stef is now, she also suffered from panic attacks like this, and the two start to seem to understand each other. They talk things out and apologies are made.
I love you, Mom. I hope you know that. And that is the very, very, very best Mother's Day gift ever, which is a good thing because I noticed you didn't get me anything.
Things aren't so good though when it comes to Tess and Mariana. Tess comes back to the house to talk to Mariana, and she explains how she and Dean are trying to make this separation as painless as possible. So if Mariana tells Logan something she knows nothing about, Tess will make sure he doesn't want anything to do with her. Whoa there, Tess. Like, I honestly didn't think that that's the way she would go with this. She could have easily just said how she wasn't really sure about anything yet. She needs time to, figure herself out, and when she finally tells Logan the truth, she wants to make sure she herself knows what that truth is. Instead, she turns it vengeful, and Mariana, I know she can be annoying, but threatening a teenager like that, it's kind of out of line, I feel. The episode, though, does end on a happy note as we see the family having a fun dance party in the backyard. Alright, so that sums up the big events of this week's episode. It seems like Stef has finally gotten to the root of her panic attacks, plus she's patched things up with her mom, so things are looking up. I now think she really just needs to have a sit down with Tess and be honest with her feelings and maybe be the bigger person and show Tess the support that she wished people had given her when she was coming out back then. Of course, if Stef finds out that Tess threatened Mariana, that probably won't happen. As for Brandon and Grace, I'm still wondering if the show is going to go with the route where Brandon will have to face making that tough decision of carrying out Grace's wishes or not, or if this was just all for Grace and her mom to resolve their issues with each other. We'll just have to wait and see. Now let's check out the promo for the next episode.
So you didn't bring any books to a study date.
Well, I figure you got the study part down, and I got the date part.
I am not obsessed. I have tried very hard to stay out of this, but Tess keeps dragging this whole family into it, and
You are letting yourself be dragged.
No, I am not.
Why does it bother you so much that she might be a lesbian?
And that pretty much does it for me and this week's recap. Hit me up down in the comments and let me know your favorite and least favorite moments from the episode. What do you think Stef should do moving forward? Should she talk to Tess? Sound off down below, and then check out more of my videos right over here and subscribe if you like what you see. I'm Lisa, thanks for watching.